So good morning, everyone. So in our last class, we were discussing the HTML forms. So a simple HTML form is a login form. So you can see on the screen. Any web page containing these kind of text boxes, password box, buttons, checkbox, radio buttons, all those things, it is a HTML form. In a form like this, we will enter the um, user ID and password. After typing the user ID and password, we will click on login. So remember, there will be several users for a particular site. So if we consider this particular page, a student sign in page. So we have almost 3,500 logins. So a student will put the USN password and click on the login button. So what must happen when this particular button is clicked? So you can observe without typing any user ID and password. So if I click on this, then it will tell us a message that please fill out this. So these things are called as validations, which means whatever data is entered in the form is validated, whether it is correct or not. So how to differentiate 3,500 logins? And based on the username that is entered and the password that is typed, and when login button is pressed, first we must verify whether that particular USN exists. If USN exists, then whether the password is correct for that particular username has to be verified. So once both of them are verified, and then we must decide to which page the navigation should happen or what data has to be loaded in that particular page. So when a particular student logins, then his details should be displayed. We cannot display anybody else's details over there. So these things are decided dynamically. So when each 3,500 students log in, a different information has to be displayed. So whatever you are seeing on the screen or here when I click on forget password. So this is also one such web page. So whatever you are seeing on this browser window, it is designed using HTML. Along with that, we'll use some more libraries also to have a look and feel aspect. So this is examples of HTML form. Here also, if I type a USN, then click on OTP, what should happen? So that is the action. So in HTML, we'll be using the forms and buttons. So HTML forms provide a way to communicate data from client to middle tier. So here, client means a browser, middle tier means the application. So a common format for a form is like this: a forum tag, action page.jsp, method equal to get, name is equal to login form. Here we'll put the elements and close the forum tag. Here, whatever action is there, that is the page to which the control will be transferred when we click on submit buttons. When a submit button is clicked, in our case it was a login button, or in the other case it was a get OTP button. So that page name will be written over here. So this .jsp, so it is Java server pages. So in our example, we'll be considering the Java as the language to interact with the backend. So method name is get. So there are again two types of methods. Either it is a HTTP get or HTTP post. So get method we will use whenever we want to get the information from the server, and post method we will use whenever we are posting the data, which means the data in the form is to be stored on the database. Then name. So the name of the um, form is login form. So a form is specified like this, and inside this, so we will be writing the text boxes in order to collect the username or password, and finally the submit button. So the form components of a HTML form includes the action. So action specifies the URI, that is the uniform resource identifier, that handles the content, which means when we submit it, that page will take over the control, and that page is capable of reading all the data that is present in the form. So whatever is being typed, so that can be read. Then method indicates it is either HTTP get or post method. So name is the name of the form. So this is only useful in the client side scripts if you want to read the elements. Okay. So inside the HTML form, so we will be using the input tags. So, so input tag will have a attribute type. So input type is equal to text. So if you had written text, then it is a text input. Or we can here specify the password. So that is input type is equal to password. Name followed by its name. So the name should for each element should be unique. Then so name is just a symbolic purpose. So it is just to identify the element. So if a programmer opens and checks the uh, code, so he should be able to identify what is the purpose of using this particular input tag. So it doesn't have any regard for the backend. An example of a form, here you can see form method is equal to post, action is equal to some JSP page, input type is equal to text, name is equal to user ID, input type is equal to password, name is equal to password, input type is equal to submit, value is equal to login, name is equal to submit, input type is equal to reset, value is equal to clear. So here, when the type is text, you will get a text box where we type the user ID, and whatever is typed in that particular text box, the content is visible. Whereas if the input type is specified as password, then whatever is typed in that box will not be visible. So instead we will get a dot or star marks. So in order to automatically mask the uh, data that is typed in the password box, so input type is specified as password. Then for every form we must use a submit button. Then value is a login. Value means on that button what name we want or what text we want. So whether we want login or sign in, whatever it is. Or even we can specify it as a submit also. Then reset button, value is equal to clear. So on a button, um, we will have a label that is clear. So this is how a HTML form is specified. So the other input type options include checkbox, radio buttons, and others. We also have text area. If we have want to capture the large text, then we'll use text area. Whenever we are capturing a address field, then we'll use text area where the content spreads across multiple lines. So passing the arguments. So in order to pass the arguments from the browser or client to the middle layer, two methods are used. One is get, another one is post. So in the get method, forum contents go into submitted URI. So the difference is uh, whenever we are using the get method to send the data, so in the URL, that is in the address, we will have a structure like this. Action means it is the page. So login.jsp followed by the question mark, and then the parameters will be listed like this. Name 1 is equal to value 1, ampersand name 2 is equal to value 2, and name 3 is equal to value 3. So where name 1, name 2 and name 3 are the elements we had in the form, and value 1, value 2 and value 3 is whatever we have typed. So by looking at the URL, we can easily identify what the user has typed in the form. So for each input element in the form, a name and value pair will be established like this. And each name value pair is concatenated with a ampersand. So for example, in our previous password form, so table of contents dot .jsp question mark user ID is equal to some value and password is equal to some value. So this is transferred in URL. So the action page must be a program or a script or even a page that will process the particular inputs. So in HTTP GET method, forum field is nothing but whatever contents we have in the inside the forum tag. So these contain general ASCII characters that cannot appear in the URL. So some of the fields we cannot specify. For example, if we have space, so space cannot be specified on a URI. So in order to specify, the special encoding conventions are used to convert field values that are not URI compatible. So space is not URI compatible. Maybe is equal to, ampersand, percentage. So all those things cannot be specified in a URI. So whenever these special characters are used, some encoding will happen. So instead of specifying a character, their ASCII code will be specified. So maybe a simple way is converting all spaces to a plus character, or you might have seen percentage 20, like that. And in order to glue the name and value pairs from the input tag, so an ampersand is used. But whenever ampersand is part of the content, again it has to be encoded. So a complete example of an HTML form is like this. Form method is post action.jsp table align center border is 0 width is 0. So here whenever a HTML form is displayed, so for example, the OTP one, whatever we saw, so the elements are arranged in rows and columns. So if I want the element to be perfectly aligned, then it has to be put in a inside a table. So we'll define a table, and inside that table these elements are put so that when we look at the layout, it will be a perfect table. So one below the other or one beside the other, like that. So otherwise what happens? So it will just put the elements and there will be no alignment. Just like a single line, we will get everything one beside the other one. So a table in HTML so is specified using the table tag. So these are the attributes of the table tag. Align center means center of the page, it will be there. Then it's no border, border will not appear. If we specify any other value apart from 0, then border will appear. So this is the width of the table, 300 pixels. Then TD, TR means table row. So TR tag stands for table row tag. So that is a first row. TD means table data. So within a row, one column. So user ID. Then in the TD tag, so we will have the input type is equal to text, name is equal to user ID, size is equal to 20. So one text box will appear. Then close that particular row. Then in another row will get opened. Inside that, label password and password element. Close the row. One more row will appear. Here we will have submit button and then only one element is there. Then close the row. Close the row tag. Close the table and finally close the form. So when this page is displayed, so we'll have the contents like this. So in the this tr till here, so this is the first row, then this tr to sorry, this tr, so that is this tr to this tr is the second row, and this tr tag to this tr tag is the third row. So it means three rows will be there, and within that particular row we have two columns over here, and here also two columns, here only one column. So our table will look like this. So it will be having two columns and three rows. First row, second and third, and two columns. So table will be like this. Now inside this, it's a TD tag. So what is there in the TD tag? That is user ID. So here we will be having the user ID. So user ID. Then here it is the box. So a box will appear here. So where we can type the user ID. And its size is 20, means it is capable of handling 20 characters. So even though we can type more number of characters, so at a time 20 will be visible. And in the second row, so it is password, password, and here a password box will appear. So the difference between user ID and password boxes, so whatever is typed in the text box will be visible to us, whereas in the password box, whatever is typed is not visible. Only these kind of dots or star marks will appear. Then in the third row, if you observe here, only one element is there, that is the submit button. So in this case, so what happens? So there is no column. So here, so table will be now like this, because in the third row only one element is there, and here we will have only one button, that is the submit button. So here submit, so a submit button will appear over here. Since border is 0, so whatever borders I have written in red color will not be there. And the table is used because this alignment will be there. So row wise and column wise alignment. So if you observe here, user ID takes less space, whereas password takes more characters, but both of them will start here itself in the same line, like this. Here also both of them will start here, unless we change the alignment to left, so this will remain same. So this is the advantage of putting the HTML form inside a table. So the submit button will appear at the center because the alignment here it is specified as center. And yeah, the value is login. So instead of submit, we will have login. So value is different. So it is login. So instead of submit, login will appear as a label. So this is on one side. So whatever we have elements we have specified here, they will appear in the browser for a user, or we also call it as a client side. Then when a button is clicked, what happens next? So that in the presentation layer, these functionalities can be added using one more language, that is JavaScripting. So JavaScripting is completely different from Java and it has nothing to do with it. So it is a scripting language. So scripting language means, so it can be embedded anywhere between a host language. So JavaScript can be added in between a HTML file using the script tag. So its main goal is to provide some additional functionality in the client side or presentation tier. So the validations can be done in JavaScript. For example, whether the user ID, if user ID is an email, then the format of the email can be verified. We can verify whether all the required information is filled or not. So if anything is missed, then the user can be informed about it. Or if there is any format in the input, that can be verified. Whether if we are reading a USN, then we can verify whether it starts with 4JN, like that. So and these JavaScripts can be directly embedded in the HTML using the script tag. So that is opening script and closing script tag. So script tag has many attributes. So it indicates the language in which the script is written and the source of the script. Source means we can write a separate file to hold the JavaScript, or we can write as part of the HTML file itself. So source is used when we are putting the JavaScript in another file. So an example like this. So script language is equal to JavaScript. Source is equal to validate.js. So JavaScript files will be with extension .js. So it indicates that a separate file is present in the same directory with the name validate.js. So that script will be loaded along with this particular HTML file. Or if we don't want to use a separate, then in between the script opening and closing tag, we can write the JavaScript. So if script tag doesn't have a source attribute, then JavaScript is directly inside the HTML file. So an example like this, script language is equal to JavaScript. So inside that we can write. So this is a comment tag. So we can write alert, welcome to our bookstore. So that is just a message. So alert means a message box will appear with whatever we have passed over here along with OK button. So unless and until that OK button is pressed, that message will remain on the screen. So two different commenting styles are used. So this angular bracket along with exclamatory symbol and two hyphens. So that represent the comment for HTML. And since the following JavaScript code should be ignored by the HTML processor, the comments which we use in JavaScript will be these double slashes. Or we can also use the multi-line comment just like how we use in C programming. So JavaScript is a complete scripting language, which means just like C programming, we can declare a variable here. We can have assignment operator, comparison operators. We can have looping statements, if else conditions can be written. And we can also write a function along with written values. So since all these things can be accomplished in JavaScript, so it is called as a complete scripting language. Whereas HTML is not a scripting language. So HTML is just a markup language, whereas JavaScript is a complete language. So an example of JavaScript can be like this. The same password page over here. HTML form is on the left side. So action, this one like this. So the associated JavaScript can be written like this. Um, Function test login empty, but here there is no link between this one and this one, so that has to be specified. So function test login empty. Here login form is equal to document dot login form. So this login form is the name. So that will be extracted. This is the name of the form. Then for this login form, we will extract the user ID and its value. So login form dot user ID dot value. So login form dot user ID will extract this particular one. The entire element it will extract. In that element, we have to check its value, because an element will have many more attributes, its type, name, everything. But we want value, so we have to use dot value. So each input element will have an attribute that is the value. So login form dot user ID dot value. If it is equal to empty, or login form dot password dot value equal to empty, which means user has not entered anything, then an alert message should be displayed. Then alert, please enter values for user ID and password, and return false, else return true. So this false and true returning is based on the programmer. So then close the if condition, then close the function and close the script. So this is just a, this follows the C programming syntax, just like that. And this function must be called from somewhere. Since all the actions are specified inside a function, the function needs to be called. If we don't want a script to be called as a function, we want directly the code to execute, then we need not write the code inside a function. And remember, any number of functions can be written over here. So this is regarding validations, and JavaScript is used for validation only. So JavaScript cannot interact with the backend or database. So it can only interact with the HTML page. So the HTML page contents or form contents can be read and can also be modified in the JavaScript. So instead of is equal to, if we double is equal to, if we use a single equal to and specify a value, then automatically that what value we specified here will appear in the text box. So from JavaScript, we can read a value as well as write a value to form element. So next is the style sheets. So style sheets um, is used to specify the styles. So style is nothing but a color, the way they appear, their alignment, all those things. So in order to separate the display from content, so style sheets are adopted. So there are two aspects to this. So document transformations to decide which part of the document to display in what order, and document rendering will decide how each part of a document is displayed, in which color the text has to be displayed, whether it should be at the right side or left side, what should be the margin, what is the padding distance. So all those things, what is the font size, those things will be decided by the style sheet. So again, there will be two parts: the content on a page and how a content is going to be displayed. So the second part, that is how a content is going to be displayed on a web page, is decided by the style sheets. So style sheets can be specified as an attribute in an HTML element, or it can be specified in a separate tag, or it can also be specified in a separate file. So if the styles are specified in a separate file, then it can be reused for multiple HTML files. So the reuse of a same document for a display, different displays can be done. And we can use user preferences to display, or we can reuse the same document in different context. So there are two style sheet languages. One is CSS. So CSS stands for cascading style sheets for HTML documents, and for XML document we will be using extensible style sheet language, that is called as XSL. So these two are completely different, means their syntax is different. So CSS is the mechanism that is predominantly used to display the HTML files. So many HTML document can refer to same CSS file. So can change the format of a website by changing a single style sheet. So if you want everything in black color, or the coloring format, size, if you want to change it just by changing the CSS, so we can change everything. And in order to include a CSS file in a web page, so the tag we have to use is link rel. So rel stands for relation, style sheet, relationship between HTML, and this one is the style sheet. Type is equal to text bar CSS, then href is equal to books.css. So here the CSS file is stored separately in the same folder with the name books.css. So CSS files will have an extension .css, and the type we have to specify it as text bar CSS, and the relationship it places the style sheet. So each line contains three parts in the CSS. One is the selector, the property, and value. So selector is nothing but the tag for which we want to apply the style, and property is the tag's attribute whose value we want to set, and value indicates the value of the attribute. So you shall see that with an example. So first is the body tag. So HTML pages will have a body tag. For body tag, background color, we want to set it to yellow. Then the syntax will be like this: body within the uh, flower brackets. So we must specify the property background color yellow. Now what happens? The entire HTML page background will become yellow color. Or we have certain tags. So that is H1. So H1 is a tag. Its font size we want to set it to 36 points. H3 tag, change the color to blue. P stands for paragraph tag. Its left margin is set to 50 pixel and color is set to red. So like this, the multiple attribute values can be specified by separating it with a semicolon. So two attributes can be set over here. So this is one way of specifying the styles. So whatever these four lines are there, we can type only this much in a file and save it with extension .css and link it to the HTML tag using the link tag. Or this is one way where we are storing the style information in a separate file. Or what we can do is we can put everything in a single tag itself. Inside the HTML only, while defining the elements, we can specify this one. Body tag, background underscore color is equal to yellow. So this has to be closed with a double quote over here. Then also the uh, HTML page will become yellow color. So in two ways we can specify. So another alternate is also there where three ways we can specify any style sheets. So we can stop our discussion till here for today's class. So we can enter your attendance. So we'll continue the discussion with the XSL styles in our next class.